right, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming back with the snap material. We took a little break, but now it's time to get into the meta and our unlocks. Evan, I have not taken a lot of notes on the meta. The one thing I can definitely say is that it ain't like it used to be. You know, there's one thing that seemed like it was really dominating the meta. It seemed very varied.
I didn't notice any one dominant thing, and I didn't have much anything gaining traction. I managed to fight my way back to 90, which is basically my goal, to get that gold in there. But I did. Oh, somebody pulled it was mainly me going, okay, will this work? And then I would see somebody pull off some crazy combo. I got to try that. And I got back into Galactus and Nimrod for a while after somebody pulled off a Venom Galactus Firehair combo. They played Galactus, and I'm like, well, why are they playing Galactus there? They got cards, and then Venom took Galactus out, and Firehair Galactus the other side of the board, and won. So I made a deck with Galactus and Venom and Firehair. I don't think I ever pulled that off, but I did get it to a decent point where like Galactus was an option, but not, and this is original Galactus. I didn't get first steps, but where Galactus was an option, but not like sometimes I wouldn't even be playing him. Like I'd come around to turn 6 and I'm like, no, this works better. Like if I could boost up Nimrod and have Arnim Zola come in. So that one worked pretty well. And then somebody I saw on Reddit said, thanks in part to Red Shift, they wrote an Agatha deck to Infinite. And so I played a lot with Agatha and
Red Shift
had some luck with her. Because, yeah, Red Shift, I think when we were talking earlier about that card, you can lessen the odds and make it pretty likely that Sif or Moon Knight will take Agatha out for you. But Red Shift guarantees it because she always starts at the leftmost part of your hand. So that's why I was calling Red Shift the Herald of Agatha.
Right.
So yeah, those were the two that I did the most with. By the end of the season, I was even trotting out the old Thanos deck. We talked about how a lot of these cards are interesting, and some of them maybe don't quite make the impact we think, or we're still trying to figure out what to make of them. But that means there were a lot of decks where I didn't necessarily have the newest card in. I mean, and you know me, sometimes I get hung up on a card that may be personally interesting, but not as effective. But Clea and Marvel Boy are still folks I work into a lot of stuff. And then anytime I realize that instead of 3 cost cards, I should put a 4th one in, I immediately go, and I'll bring in Silver Surfer. So, So I had Thanos and Silver Surfer and Clea all hanging out for a while. I'm having fun just mixing and matching stuff. One thing I haven't revisited lately, in part because there's so many cards this season that could play into it, is Move, which had a big change in one of the updates. They kind of switched Human Torch and Vulture's places. Vulture's down to a 1 cost now, and the Torch is up to a 3. I did find it interesting. I think we talked a little about this in the earlier episode. After 2 months of the gnashing of teeth and rending of garment over the super premium pass, which I do get, is irritating, but also not that hard to make up and get. There is no super premium pass card. If you get the super premium pass, you get a variant of Sparky, and if you get a variant for a card you don't have, you also get the base card. If you get the super premium pass, you get Sparky without having to go through the tokens, but Sparky's also right in there. You can get him as a Series 5 card right off the bat, and honestly is more intriguing to me than Mora X, although I just heard from a friend of mine that he is not too impressed by Viv Vision, but says the Mora really works well in Destroy, which is not my impression. But I haven't played either of those cards, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, I was looking through the decks that I had created for last season. It seemed like I would create something, run it a few times, and delete it shortly thereafter. So there wasn't one real archetype that I stuck with. I'd say the one that I gravitated most towards was my Namora deck. With Namora, there's a trust factor where trust factor of 12, where there's a trust factor where I know, like, okay, I'm going to be able to win this game, or I'm not. You know when you're going to lose.
I did tell you one of my old fallbacks that I tried to change, and I'm not sure how effective it is, but it's been fun. I love my Living Iron slot deck. I don't remember how I first came up with this, but I took the bare minimum stuff I need to make it work, which is Iron Man, Iron Lad, Onslaught, Living Tribunal, and Magic. And I combined it with another favorite of mine, which I called I Think I'm a Clone Now, which is my Dakin Bullseye Arnim Zola deck.
Okay.
And now it didn't get me to infinite, but both of those are probably my best 8 cube decks. They can lose me 2, 4, or 8 cubes pretty frequently, but they have both of them have a big swing at the end where if you're not paying attention, your opponent can go from I got this in the bag to wait, what just happened? Which happens to me a lot with some stuff other people do. So I actually kind of mashed those together, and that's been pretty fun.
Very nice.
So the idea is hopefully I can get one of those tricks to work. And if I can't, it still doesn't hurt if you can get Dakin to double a couple of times and spread that out with the Tribunal.
Right.
That was pretty fun. And then I've got the updated Galactus and Agatha decks. I still have your Valkyrie.
Oh, yeah. That combo.
Valkyrie, Artemis, Lola.
Oh, that's a tough one to pull
From
off.
Marvel Team Up number 280. It's just a classic. Marvel Team Up never went that high, folks. I like naming my Marvel decks after DC characters, so I have a deck called Geoforce that's just tossing rocks all over the place and clogging up decks with Darkhawk and Ronan to benefit from all those extra unwanted cards.
Nice. Yeah. I think one of my favorite newer cards before we got into this that I had gotten was Prodigy. He's very useful in some decks. He's also kind of versatile if you can get him to copy something that you really need copied. So I like him, but yeah, it didn't seem like there was one deck that I gravitated more than the Namora deck that I have. And I do have the Clea Marvel Boy deck too, which is kind of nice. Use that every once in a while. Put that in there along with Invisible Woman First Steps.
She's in my latest Infinity Watch deck.
Oh,
Marvel Boy, Clea, and the Infinity Stones. And then I've got the first incarnations of Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and the Thing. And
well, do you have anything else there for the meta?
I think we talked about this a little earlier, but it was interesting to see some counters springing up for end of turn and activate and front row and things like that. First, we saw those become bigger subsets, and now we're seeing a response to them. So that's interesting. I played a couple games since we talked about it. Cosmic Ghost Rider is starting to grow on me. He's messed me up a few times, yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. Let's get into our unlocks for the month of August 2025. For me, currently sitting at 20,222 collector level. As of September 3rd, 2025, I got a total of 4,050 tokens ready to be used. Here we go. Unlocks. Chibi Crossbones. You know, you love the chibis. Dan Hip Omega Red. I got I think what might be my personal favorite Hulk. There's another one I think that I got on here too that reminds me of the classic version, but I got a Brett Bean Hulk. It looks very cartoony, but I love the way that it looks. A Chibi Valkyrie, which is the movie version of Valkyrie, by the way. And then we have the Dan Hip Silver Samurai. I got a Pixel Ghost Rider, which is pretty cool. Then we have a Mad Boogie Leader. I think you have that one.
Yeah.
I got the Fallen one, the card that I got. This is the classic kind of Hulk that reminds me of. That reminds me of the Hulk from the magazines for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay, yeah. Yep, no, I can see that.
Alex Horley Hulk. Then I got a Negative Space Blade, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pixel Jane Foster, and then a Pixel Killmonger. And I think one of those helped unlock a little bit further on one of the Pixel albums.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe Jane Foster was, I don't know. David Marquez White Widow, Sinister Six Electro, and then I decided to part with some tokens. And I didn't know where to go first. I'm getting like, oh my goodness, there's a term for it where there's so many choices that you get locked up and you don't know what to do.
Paralysis by analysis, or?
Yeah, that sounds perfect. Paralysis by analysis, or analysis paralysis. That's kind of what I get. I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, maybe I need to go to this one. If I choose this one, there's an opportunity I might get. I don't want this card. Finally, I pulled the trigger and I got Thunderbolt Ross on my first round. And then I got Ares. The card that I really wanted, I also wanted Fan Fei, which I ended up getting with Ares. So that immediately went into a move deck that I created. A real card that I was kind of shooting for was Surge. I've noticed that Surge has been a very versatile card in just about any deck that I've been playing. Throwing her in there, getting the, what is it that goes down? You either get +1.
Cost goes down 1 and power goes up 1. If you play that card, it triggers it again for the next card.
Right. I mean, that feels very, I don't know, powerful.
I've got her in a deck now with Power Brokers, her and Phastos and First Steps Mr. Fantastic. You can get some stuff out there pretty cheap.
Yeah. So I got Surge, and then finally I got a Lucas Wernick Dazzler, which gives very, very disco vibes. Very nice disco vibes. So there you go. That's all my unlocks. Where are you sitting at there, Evan?
I'm at just over 25,000 on collector level, and I think I'm just under 500 tokens. I'm trying to hold out for Warlock in Jocasta this season, but I would like Omega Sentinel, so we'll see how that goes. I started off with a 30.99 Killmonger. I'm slowly chipping away at that album, but none of them interest me enough to actually spend the tokens. They come through in prizes eventually. I did get Nightmare, who I was totally wrong about, even before they buffed him to where he's a 1 power instead of a -1. Still trying to work that out, but he immediately went along with Sauron in a mostly villain deck. Got a Noir Colleen Wing and a sticker Scarlet Witch. There's a whole album of the sticker ones, and it looks like things little kids would like, but all the heroines look like teenage girls with not enough fabric to adequately cover their assets. So I don't really know what to, like, oh, that's kind of neat and fun, and I feel kind of weird looking at this. And yeah, I don't know. So then I got a seasonal series 4-pack with Terex and pulled Mr. Fantastic First Steps.
Wow. Wow. Nice.
So that was a fortunate one. And got a Noir Maria Hill, a Pixel Bucky Barnes. These aren't your standard variants, but I did get an ink split of Werewolf by Night and a gold split of Marvel Boy. I feel is worth noting. I didn't note the occasional banana split I got, which should have just been a Hit Monkey variant. That's it.
Yep.
Then I got Frankie Ray Nova and still haven't quite figured out what to do with her. A Pixel Living Tribunal, which is cool until you, like, there's just so much definition to his crotch. You're like, oh, hey, Pixel Living Tribunal. This is like a cutscene from the old Silver Surfer. What is happening? Why do my eyes keep being drawn there? There's nothing really inappropriate about it. It's just, he's thrusting a little. He's doing the Peacemaker opening dance number or something. I don't know. So got a gold split of Nebula, Flaviano Darkhawk, a Scan Toxin. It's kind of a painted one where he's tossing some guardsmen around, like from the original Venom Lethal Protector limited series.
Oh, okay.
Got a Baby X-23, got one of the dinosaur variants of Doctor Strange, which are especially cool because they are not random dinosaur variants. Ryan North did a 2-parter in Fantastic Four a couple years ago where the FF met their doppelgangers from an Earth where dinosaurs evolved as the dominant life form. There were Avengers and all kinds of characters, and all these variants are the dinosaur variants from that comic.
From that comic. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. I got a Dan Hip Red Guardian.
Okay.
One of the few things that could dislodge my Luchador Red Guardian. Got a Julio Rencioni Maximus. I got Stardust. We talked about him, her, or it. And Stardust is equally effective at thwarting my plans. Somebody said they don't, I think it was Stardust they were talking about, that it's not like echo blindness, but it's along those lines, except I'm usually the one suffering from it. You'd be like, I put out Stardust. You can't wait. Where are my new cards? So you got a Baby Venom, got a Julian Del Rey, Agatha Harkness, and then her Herald Red Shift. I had missed these the first time around. I've only seen a couple, but I got an X-23 Protege variant, which is her in the Wolverine costume with Wolverine like looking approvingly from the background at the carnage she's wreaking.
Nice.
I know there's a Hawkeye one for Kate Bishop too. I just like X-23 in the Wolverine costume. I knew they were going to bring Logan back eventually, but that period of time where Wolverine was actually dead and the Wolverines were Old Man Logan, still don't like that original story, but he was hanging out with the X-Men, time traveled or whatever, and then X-23 as the all-new Wolverine. I like that. Those were good successors to him. I got Airwalker and Tony Moy Kaira, and then got Firelord, and then it was done with High Voltage for that season. Got a 3099 Sabretooth, a Chibi Polaris, a Pixel Venom, and a Max Grecki Lizard.
The Max Grecki Lizard. Nice. I like the way that lizard looks. Thanks a lot for joining us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for the next installment of Snap Material.